So breakups are never easy, and that's whether you're the one ending it or the one being left. But how you navigate a breakup says a lot about your emotional maturity, your respect for the other person, even your trust in God's timing. So, in this episode, we're going to unpack the do's and don'ts of breaking up well, how to end things with honesty and compassion, what to avoid, and how to process the aftermath in a healthy, faith filled way. So, whether you're considering a breakup, or you're in the middle of one, or you're still healing from one, this episode will give you the biblical and relational wisdom you need. So, stay tuned for the art of relationships.
Welcome to The Art of Relationships. This podcast is produced by the Biola University Center for Marriage and Relationships. Let's get right into it.
Well, welcome to another Art of Relationships podcast.
Yeah, welcome.
Co-host here, Alisa and Chris. Co-host, I guess. Alisa, I think when we were dating, one of the things that was awesome, I think, was we got along so well. We didn't have a long dating period.
No.
And we avoided something that causes so much kind of turmoil for some people, and that is when they realize they're with the wrong person, right? Or they aren't in a good
Or
place.
they're not ready.
Yeah. And that leads to some breakups. And so as you introduce this, there's some do's and don'ts, right? If you're going to handle a breakup well, or do a breakup well, or in that you're kind of thinking and processing, is this the right relationship for me?
Yeah.
What do you think? Are there some things, that you've been thinking about with this?
Yeah, well, I think one of the first things that we just need to acknowledge, the elephant in the room, is that a breakup is going to hurt. There's no way that you can do it that completely saves the other person heartache or, pain.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the risks that you take when you enter a relationship, is that they can be messy, they can be painful, but it's one of the risks you take when you enter in that kind of romantic relationship.
Yeah, and even other relationships, right? I mean, like, I had to break up with the Lakers one time. I loved them, and I don't know, I just didn't like the direction they were going, and I thought, I'm gonna break up for just a little bit. It was messy. It was painful. It was hard.
You're still not over that.
Oh, I'm doing better.
You're carrying the pain.
I'm
I
carrying-
see it in your face.
I'm carrying a little bit of the pain. Breakups. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's where we get to talk too, not just kind of about some good psychological principles, which we'll share, right? But also communication, and also just from experience, right? It's happened to probably everybody. I mean,
Did any girl ever break up with you? I think you're the breakup king. You broke the hearts, but seriously, did any girl ever break up with you?
I'm sure there's one out there that will not remind me, but I don't know. I don't
Okay,
remember.
so if you ever dated Chris Grace in your life and broke up with you, we want to hear from you.
Oh,
we
no.
want the deeds right away.
No, we don't. Yeah, one of the first things that comes to mind, you talked about, it's kind of messy and the pain, is the things that we can do during that time can make it worse. The things we do or don't do.
Right.
Right. I mean, today people use terms like ghosted, right? In casual dating relationships, sometimes, I guess the first thing to avoid is ghosting the other person. What do you think?
Oh yeah, it's an immature response, and if that's your go-to response, then you're probably not emotionally and developmentally mature enough to be in a relationship in the first place.
Yeah.
So you owe the person to acknowledge it and to say something.
Okay. Let's talk about owing. What do you owe in a casual dating relationship? Let's define that, right? You've been on anywhere from 3 dates to maybe casually, maybe a few months.
Yeah.
Right. And so now maybe even, I don't know, 6 months. Maybe not. Let's just say 4 months. I don't know. In that kind of setting, you maybe haven't defined the relationship as serious, but you're together, you're dating.
Right.
One of the things to avoid then is ghosting. Another one seems to be, Lisa's, at least being there in person. I mean, I guess you could do it if you only dated 4, 5, 6 times, to by text, but it probably is something
Yeah.
you want to do in person. Would you agree?
I would definitely say do it in person,
Yeah.
and you don't want to do it in a really public area
Yeah.
because it could be, it could be embarrassing for the person if they have a deep emotional response, even if it's just been a couple of months.
Yeah, so avoid maybe going into, a busy place or do it in the
Yeah.
cafeteria or
Yeah, so maybe pick a private place, maybe in their home, their apartment, just some place where you can have some privacy.
there was somebody who was wanting to end a relationship, came in and asked me this question. They said, um, I just hesitate breaking up because I don't want to hurt them. I know they'll see us, and so therefore I've been putting it off.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of messed up a little
Yeah.
bit, right? I tried to encourage you. Look, it's probably, yeah, it's gonna hurt. Like, man, that band-aid, if you take it slowly and peel it, you're like, I feel every millimeter of this.
Yeah, you gotta just rip the Band-Aid off.
Do you every time? Would you I mean, it's probably not good to go real slow and say, hey, let's take a weekend break. Hey, and it kind of gives false hope, wouldn't you say?
Oh, I would definitely say that. And I think if you've been, you've given it enough thought and prayer and consideration, you don't want to keep putting it off because the longer you're just putting off the inevitable.
Yeah.
And the longer you stay in that relationship, the harder it's going to be for that other person. So there's no, it's going to hurt a little, it's going to hurt a lot. That's option A or option B. There is no option C where the other person is not going to be hurt. So it's better just to address it and be forthright about it. But you want to do it with kindness. We'll do the do's in a minute. But yeah, you don't want to keep putting it off. You want to address it, get it out there.
Yeah, I think this was an issue for me. I think in a couple before I met you, in college, there were a few relationships I was in, right, that I knew it wasn't going to last or wasn't the right relationship, probably within the first month or two. But I ended up staying in a relationship, and I kind of regret one where we had different kind of personalities, and there was one situation where I kind of saw some flashes of anger and something else. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Well, all that to say, I kind of, it was right around Christmas. And I remember staying in the relationship through Christmas because I just didn't want to cause, like over the break.
Sure.
And at least I just think I didn't handle that well. I think your advice is it should have been addressed as close as possible to when those doubts came in. And then I didn't have to sit there and explain my whole psychology as to why, right? I mean,
Right.
you don't have to go into all detail, but I at least could have said, look, I just feel like we're heading in different places. There's a little bit of difference, but I didn't. I held on. And I think that probably hurt more because it like created. At first, I thought, oh, I'll just take a break, but kind of created false hope. It's something else you don't want to do, is it?
That's right. Yeah, I think that's definitely right. And I think also you don't want to, once you've made that break and you've voiced that decision that, you're an awesome person, but I think we're just going in different directions, like you said.
Yeah.
You don't want to continue to maintain contact with them and being in conversation with them. And that includes texting, direct messaging, phone conversations, meetups. Because I think, like what you said, Chris, it just gives them false hope. It just continues and puts off the inevitable break. And so to make it very clear, concise, and really clean.
Yeah.
So you're not staying in constant contact. So
And sometimes it's not possible. I mean, if you're in the same, neighborhood, culture, university, college, dorm, cafeteria, but you could still, be clear and avoid the texting, which is usually the case, or if they're posing or sliding into their DMs, right? Or, avoid, commenting on posts. And I think that just helps the other person also recognize this is a clean break and I need to move on.
Yeah.
Well, Lisa, there are some do's, right? Those are some don'ts. Any other don'ts, or you want to go into the do's if you're
Well,
casual?
I think one other important one, and you kind of touched on that, is that it's if you're in the same geographical location, you go to the same school, you go to the same church, you're in the same clothes, it may be inevitable that you're going to run into them, and you don't want to just, go out of your way to avoid them, but you don't want to get into a prolonged conversation either. You want to be polite, you want to acknowledge them. Hi, it's nice to see you, and then go on.
Yeah,
What do you think?
well, I no, that's great. And I remember a situation at a university I was at recently, and they I don't know if they both agreed to break up or not, but when one of these persons saw the other one, you could tell they were still hurt and didn't like it. But the way they responded, if you're the one that's broken up with, you aren't, the one who initiated this person did, I think, the wrong thing. That they would put on a false sense of, oh, hi, oh, good to see you, but then they would kind of start flirting with the opposite sex who was ever near them. And it turned out, because I talked to them, they were doing it to make the other person jealous. And so it was kind of a bad response of, you know what, and the other person saw it like, oh, well, that's just weird. And but it was done out of hurt. And those are some things. If it happens to you, be gracious, be kind, go, wow, okay, at least you may have been broken up with, I don't know, but it's hard and it hurts. But you gotta have to, still be civil and, or not do anything under, and texting at midnight, and trying to get back, those are things to avoid. Well, the ways to do it then would be, as you said, you can go quickly and explain why, they deserve that, right? Hey, I just, and I do want to avoid also saying it's all me, not you. Right? I mean, it's like, oh, I need to break up because I'm in the wrong place. It's me, right? It's not you. I just have to get my head straight. You're great. I love you, but I'm not there. Okay, it's a little bit of a cop out, right? Sometimes it might be, and there might be legitimate reasons why you need therapy. But it also might just be better for you to just be prepared to say something to the extent of, well, look, I'm sorry. I just feel like we're going in different directions. I'm taking some time off from dating, and I just feel like it would be better for me and us, and I don't want to lead down false hope. And that's where I'm at emotionally. And you don't have to go into detail, right?
Yeah, in fact, I think it's probably better not to go into a whole lot of detail. And if this is a casual dating situation, might be a little different in a serious dating relationship, but we'll talk about that next. But in the casual, I think you're right. I think, just to keep it really kind of short and concise, one of the things that you can say to avoid that, it's not you, it's me kind of thing, is to say, I'm just not feeling the romantic connection that I was hoping to, or it seems like we're going in different directions. You're awesome. You're a great person. And I've really appreciated getting to know you, but I think we're just not a good match. You're awesome. I'm awesome, but we're just not a good match.
You shared with me after I met you that you did that with the guy, and you knew it wasn't a great match when he came over and said to you, hey, your date, let's go bowling. And you went, oh, okay. And he goes, oh, you have your bowling ball? And you go, yeah, let me go get it in my room. You were just being sarcastically. And he goes, oh, good, I got mine in the trunk. And that wasn't the only thing. It wasn't the bowling per se.
Not to say that if you have a bowling ball, that's a bad thing.
No, it wasn't. But
it was in this case.
No, you also had some other things. I remember you having to have that conversation. Hey. Yeah. And I remember even after we started dating a little bit, he came back by one time just out of the blue to show up.
While you were there visiting. Yeah,
that's right.
You were back there in the game room working on wedding invitations.
Is that right? And he came.
I don't know if we were that far along, but you were there at the house that last time he stopped by.
That's messed
And I think I showed him my engagement ring.
Yeah.
It's like,
he's not been seen in over 38 years. I'm not responsible.
He was just 5.
He was fine.
Yeah.
So I think we covered enough of the do's and don'ts of casual, right? I mean, you act civil, you do that. let's any other do's or don'ts that you would say for someone in a casual dating breakup situation?
Well, no, I think just to summarize it is you want to be clear, you want to be concise, and you want to be kind.
Cool. Those are three
What are
great C
clear,
words.
concise, and kind with a K.
Kind with the K.
Kind with a K. Yeah.
Okay, now let's up the ante a little bit here. You've been dating somebody; it's a little bit more serious. Um, there have been at the love, maybe words exchange, but a little bit more, of a romantic attraction. But something went wrong, something changed. That this one's a little bit harder. It's clear that you're not going to break up on text, and it's clear you're going to do it in person, and it's
In
clear
private.
in private. So all those same things apply, right? Are you owed a little bit more because you've been dating longer? And I think the answer is yes, right? I mean, hold on, I've been getting to know you, and
We've
we
both invested in this.
invested in this, and so it might take, like you said, the context has to be right, the situation where you're at, how you're doing it. Yeah, I mean, how do you keep that other person from being, they might be caught off completely off guard.
Yeah.
And I think you might want to say, listen, I've been doing a lot of thinking and praying about our relationship. Could we have a talk? And could we visit? I don't want to freak you out, but could we this Friday night, just find a quiet place? Because I just want to process some things with you. Is that kind of a good way? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to start that conversation. And I think even let's take a step back from that. Even before we start that conversation, before we initiate it, this is something that is just my mantra that you'll notice on this podcast is that I'm going to encourage you to pray. Pray, pray, pray before you even initiate that conversation, asking for the Lord to confirm or lead in a different direction if he has a different idea. Just surrendering this relationship to the Lord and being willing to hold it loosely. But it's so important, I think, to approach it from a posture of prayer, because that gets your own heart right before you go into this. Lord, I want to go in and into this conversation, even though it's hard. I want to go into it with a heart posture of, I don't want to hurt this person, but Lord, I want to honor them, even though this is going to be a hard conversation. They're a nice person, and it's just not a good match for us. I've sensed that from you, Lord, but I need you to prepare my heart, Lord, to speak from Ephesians, to speak the truth. Lord, help me to be honest and forthright and clear, but to be kind at the same time. Lord, just produce more of that fruit from Galatians, the fruit of your Spirit. Help me to be kind. Help me to be gentle. Help me to exhibit self-control if this starts to go south for any reason. Lord, all I can do is have you prepare my heart. What do you think about that?
No, yeah, boy, that's exactly it. I mean, that's how you start. You really don't want to go in there unarmed or unprepared with the Lord.
And even thinking about that, Chris, is to even acknowledge that there could be an aspect of spiritual warfare in this.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I keep putting it off could be because I'm doing it out of disobedience to the Lord. And that's a spiritual issue and my issue with the Lord. And it could be something going on with the other person and spiritual warfare. And so you want to pray for protection. You want to pray for protection of the other person's heart. Hey friends, we have got some big news. The Center for Marriage and Relationships is now part of Talbot School of Theology right here at Biola University.
We're thrilled, Lisa, with that because Talbot's been equipping leaders, in biblical truth for decades.
Yeah.
And now together we get to expand our resources for marriages and relationships.
Yeah, it's exciting because research shows that couples with ongoing support and biblical guidance are far more likely to thrive. And that's exactly what makes this partnership possible.
Yeah, so if you're a student, pastor, or just hungry to grow, we want you to know this is only the beginning of what God is doing through Talbot and the CMR.
Yeah, you can learn more. Just check out the show notes for details.
Okay, so one of the things that could happen, Lise, probably more cases than not, I would bet that's what's happening. And it's because one of the persons has went, you know what, I'm just not sensing this relationship because there's a sin issue, or because there's something in your behavior or my behavior or our behavior that really isn't bringing God glory, and the enemy could use that. So no, man, I would say clearly you need to take a moment and pray for the spiritual protection that you said. You know, if you ever find yourself on the receiving end of this, you probably can't prepare, but you probably got a little bit going on, some signs, something's going on, right? In many situations, I think if you are on the receiving end, there's no way to prepare. You're seeing signs, right? You probably are feeling that there's something
Something's
off,
going,
and you're
yeah.
getting it, and
You're
or
picking up.
they're dealing with something, or you're dealing with something, and but it could still be you could be gobsmacked and freeze and not know what to do, and it's really hard to prepare for that. So we don't really have a whole lot. I don't have a lot of do. So you just kind of go with it and go, all right, Lord, I trust you in this situation, and this is hard. I'll take it. One of the things you don't want to do is probably, start getting so emotional, in front of them, that and try and change their mind, or because I think that would be a natural tendency, right? If you were to break up with me, like, what? Why? What's going on? No, we've got
I
something.
can change.
I could change, and there's probably a lot of pleading, and I think you have to be, as you said, concise, clear, kind, but you also have to kind of stand by this decision.
You have to stick to it.
Yeah, and stick to it. And I would think too that if you're the one doing the breaking up, that you probably have had some conversations about this at some point, like
Some conflict.
yeah, this conflict, this situation, it shouldn't surprise you, but, and then I think at least that's when you explain it, and they're owed a little bit of your thinking more than if it's a casual dating, right? They're owed that, and need to be prepared to answer questions.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think in being prepared to answer their questions, part of, I think the wisdom in what you're saying of being prepared is that you need to mentally clarify in your own mind what the issues are. Why is this not working out from my perspective? What needs are not being met? What values are misaligned? And then, just having clarity in your own mind going in.
Yeah. Well, you would recommend, and I would too, Psalm 139, either verses 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 23 and 24, right? You need to go in and say, search me, O God, know my heart, try me and know my anxious thoughts, see if there's a hurtful way in me, and then lead me in the everlasting way. And you go away for a while. I mean, this needs to be something you've been thinking and processing, because it's going to be, pretty radical as far as, now I'm losing what was kind of a part of me, or we had a future, and that future is now not going to be. And you want to do it for the reasons, right, that you sense, and then you stick with those, and you commit them to the Lord. Like, no, Lord, I'm going to commit to you.
Don't be wishy-washy. Well, maybe we can just make it a break. Let's just take a break for a while. And it's just delaying the inevitable. Makes sense.
Yeah, Nick. So those are some do's and don'ts together, right?
Yeah.
I remember in one, I was very convinced what I needed to do, needed to take the break. It was clear, concise, had the conversation, did it all, I thought the right way, in the right place. The person was, I could tell, not agreeing and not happy.
Sure.
Pretty much kind of like slammed the door emotionally, right? And everything else. I think that's maybe how they dealt a little bit with the hurt. Now, it was hard. I remember it was emotional. Like, I didn't want to break up, but I knew we, didn't need to. I think the don't came in was, I was prepared to cut off all contact, and then it turned out she wasn't. And I kind of let that contact go on, or I responded to it, right? And I knew that it was kind of like a last, I don't know, effort to try and keep us together or have me change my mind. And I didn't do it. I did okay, but I sometimes gave in a little bit, right? Okay, well, let's just go get coffee and talk some more one day.
Right.
I just wished I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
It would have been a much cleaner break. After everything was explained and talked about, and my reasons were there, and I committed it to the Lord, I probably messed up when I agreed to, see them socially or, go to church, and like, that's tough because you got to separate out now. Two lives that have kind of started intersecting in church and school and everything. And like, but all my friends are here. What would you do, Lisa, if your friends are all together and you have the same friends and you go to the same church? I mean, that's hard.
That's a tough one. When you date within your friend group,
Yeah.
that's really risky because if you break up, you could risk dividing the whole group
Yeah.
or being left out of the group because they go with your other
Yeah.
partner, or the other person might get left out.
Yeah.
Which it can be awkward.
So what do? You just have to prepare ahead of time knowing I may need to radically change some of what I do, right?
Yeah.
But you stay committed to it if you know it's the right thing.
Right.
But you got to face the fact that this may not be easy.
Yeah.
And it may involve me changing my lifestyle a little bit. It's where I go, where I go to church, who I hang around with for a little while.
Yeah. That can make it even harder in the breakup. And so like when you've gone through that breakup, there's a recovery process, right?
Yeah.
Because even if you're the one that's done the breaking up, it can be hard. Time and again, we've had people come in for counseling about a breakup.
Yeah.
And having, after, a couple of weeks, it's like, wow, I'm starting to have some doubts. Maybe I was too hasty. Gosh, I really miss them. I miss, they have really good qualities.
It's normal to have those doubts.
Exactly. Yeah. And so while breaking up is hard, the aftermath can oftentimes be even harder. And so one of the questions that I counsel someone who's having those regrets or those second thoughts is to ask yourself, are you missing your ex-boyfriend or are you missing having a boyfriend?
That's good. Yeah, good to clarify.
Do you miss Rebecca or do you miss having a Rebecca in your life? Yeah. Because when you can answer that, that's going to bring some clarity that either I'm responding this way because that person, maybe I need to take a look again, or it's really because I'm lonely and my heart hurts.
No, that's a great thing to answer and know, especially during those first few days of doubts, right, and loneliness.
Even the first couple of months, I think.
Yeah.
It can take a while to heal.
It can. And, I remember breaking up with a musical group, the Dixie Chicks. Yeah, I liked them, and all of a sudden they just weren't that.
They blew it.
And I just didn't appreciate it. And so you hear their song on the radio, like, oh, yeah, Jay. And I went, wait, I broke up with you. And it was hard to, keep them out of your life. And I just had to change stations and
change your playlist.
Change my playlist. That's messed up.
See?
So, okay, so now, getting back to the kind of do's and don'ts, especially in that kind of relationship. Now, by the way, if it's very serious, you're engaged and now you're talking, let's go. You might want to go ahead and bring in a counselor at this point when it gets to that point, right? We're not talking about after marriage, right? This is breaking up during a casual or a serious dating, not at the point of engagement. That's a little bit different. We won't cover that, but probably want to bring in some more people to help you. But there are some things you can learn from this, Lise, and some lessons about, how do I treat others? How would I want to be treated? If the roles were reversed. And honestly, if the other person was feeling this, I would want them to say it. I wouldn't want to be a long, hurtful, couple of weeks and months, right?
Yeah. And one thing you don't want to do is you want to avoid rebound dating. So don't get back in the pool right away. You want to give yourself permission and time to grieve, to process that loss. And what is it, Lord, that you have for me in this experience?
By the way, I just want to say, I love it when you use, sports analogies. Rebound dating is like, I missed that one. I'm going to grab this rebound and go right back, right?
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you can't find that next person right away, but probably, as you're saying, might take some emotional checking your heart.
Yeah,
Right?
and you might want to do some processing, even, if it's substantial with a therapist. This is a great time to do some introspection to consider, why did I choose that person that turned out not to
Yeah.
be a good match for me? What was attractive about that? What can I avoid next time? Maybe, Lord, is there something in me that needs healing? Something that I need to pay attention to and maybe process through with someone else?
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I think that's right. I mean, it could be it could be a friend. It could be, you certainly don't want to do it with that person, right? But you can find a friend or, maybe someone who's trained, especially if the longer it goes on.
Yeah. And I think another thing to do after a breakup in this recovery process is to two different kinds of investment. Invest time, well, maybe three. You invest in yourself, figuring out, why did I choose this person? Where do I want to grow?
Yeah.
What kind of person am I looking for?
Yeah.
You want to take the time to invest in your friendships.
Yeah.
Maybe you made the mistake of really
Cutting
cutting
that
down your
off, yeah.
friends and going all in
Yeah.
with this person you're dating, and you've alienated yourself. But you really need to mend some
Good.
fences and go back and reconnect and get involved with those friends.
Yeah, that could tell you too, if you're in a dating relationship now and it's going well, hey, be careful. Avoid cutting off everybody, because they're going to be important to you and may become more important.
Yeah. And then I think a third investment is one that you did really well just prior, I think, to when you and I met.
Sure.
The investing in your relationship with God.
Yeah.
This is a time to maybe pull back from dating, and it's something that we call a dating sabbatical, which is what you did. So why don't you tell our viewers, our listeners, a little bit, what's a dating sabbatical and what did you do during that?
Yeah, it's a term most people are familiar with, right? Sabbaticals, in academia, you take time off, a year to study and do something else other than what you're normally doing, or concentrate on one thing. Or in the church, you can hear about people taking, times of sabbatical. In the Bible, it talks about, keeping the field from harvesting every 7 years, right? You need to take a year to let the land heal. Well, so I took that principle, and other people had done it as well, and just thought, a couple of relationships here, they were okay. One was not so okay. But I learned a lot about myself and others. But I knew that in the middle of a relationship, I wasn't able to really see and figure out some things. So I just decided, you know what? I need a break. And right before I met you, I had just come off a 1-year sabbatical from dating. And I just decided I needed to do this. And I would go casually with people. I would, hang out, and we would go do things, in groups, but I wasn't going to date a person for 1 year.
So
And
didn't you take some like pointed special time to really focus on your relationship with the Lord?
oh, well, that was the whole point. Yeah, that was it, Lisa. It was not just to, leave the grand ground fallow, but, to actually spend that 1 year going, Lord, you and me I need to figure out some things with you. I need to spend more time with you. I need to be prepared to be alone. I need to be okay with living my life with just you. And as soon as I kind of grasped that, like, Lord, I just want you. I just need you. Teach me, show me. And that year was so powerful in going, wow, okay. I've been kind of thinking I've always had to need somebody, but I don't. I just need to find contentment, joy, excitement in Him, in the Lord. And that meant, a lot of disciplines that had kind of slacked off for me. I'd only been a Christian 4 years, but it's like, I forgot a lot about some of these things and worked on that.
And what's funny is once you and I met, it was those qualities that you're talking about that you were really pointedly cultivating with the Lord during that year that was so attractive to me.
Yeah.
I mean, your beautiful brown eyes, your rugged good looks, of course, that didn't hurt at all.
We don't even need to talk about that. It's just so obvious.
But it was your heart, really. I mean, the beauty, the handsomeness, the good look, that can only take you so far.
Yeah, that's right.
That can only last so long because it's so surface. But it was your heart for the Lord, and that you challenged me in my relationship with the Lord to keep up with you. And it's like, wow, I really like this guy.
And I think that's the same for me, at least. There was a solid core there of your love for Jesus, your contentment in him, and knowing, God, I'm with you. I don't need a man, I need Jesus. And you stuck with him and you loved him. And I think that was both attractive. So it's the final thing that we'll say, and that is, if you're about ready to end a relationship because of spiritual differences like that, know how important that is, because that's carried us now for 75 years of marriage, right? Of knowing that you love, and I want to encourage your relationship with God and with Jesus first and foremost, saying you with me. And that's the foundation of a good, healthy marriage. And if you don't have that in a casual or serious dating relationship, then it probably is from the Lord that, wait, well, I need to get something straight here and we need to figure this out. And anyway, those are some things that I hope you guys enjoyed. Lisa, about talking about the do's and don'ts of breaking up. And
you may have to go through a breakup, but it doesn't have to break you. And it can actually bring a lot of really healthy introspection and growth if you approach it from that perspective and that mental, emotional, spiritual framework.
Well, thanks, Lisa. Close this out here. So,
okay. Well, I tell you what, if you want more information like you're getting here on the podcast, check out our other episodes on our website at cmr.biola.edu. We're on all sorts of platforms, Apple, iTunes, Spotify. You check it out. But share this episode with a friend that you know needs to hear it. And we would love for you to subscribe, give us a rating. Gosh, 5 stars, that would be awesome.
oh, 7.
So give us 20 stars. No,
See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
We're very glad you joined us for today's podcast. For more resources on marriage and healthy relationships, please visit our website at cmr.biola.edu. We'll see you next time on The Art of Relationships.